I am Heidi Benjaminson, your host of Confidence Coaching, a podcast for mothers of teenagers who want more calm and less worry. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello. Welcome to episode 114. I am excited for this episode. This is my third annual episode dedicated to thoughts and little sentences that have gone through my brain so much this year that they've made a huge impact on changing how I show up, changing how I feel. These episodes are my gifts to you. Now, go listen to episodes 18 and 72 for the first two episodes. I am sure what I shared in those episodes are still favorite thoughts, which now are more solid and automatic. That's what happens as we practice these over and over. These thoughts at first are like just dirt trails on a road, and as we think them over and over, they become super highways that get us to new emotions faster and faster. Okay, this year I'm giving you 3 questions, not just thoughts, not sentences, questions that I mentally ask myself quite a bit. And by pausing to allow these questions and the answers to guide how I act in the world, I'm creating more space for grace and hope for myself and learning. Okay, the first question, which I've been asking myself quite a bit all year, is why do I think I know what's right for that other person? I found myself, as much of us probably have, in this pandemic being judgmental of how other people have handled their lives, their health, their online comments, and I just don't like how it's made me feel inside. I've done enough CTFAR models to know that I act ugly, and I just don't like how I show up when I'm feeling judgmental. It isn't who I want to be. So I started asking myself when I'd feel those judgments creep in, why do I think I have enough information to make the right decision for that other person? Now, by pausing to ask this of myself, it did a few things. First, it allowed me to take back responsibility for my thoughts, to get back in my lane. This question reminds my brain, I only get to know what ultimately is right for me and myself. This question helps me remember that I don't know the health challenges that others face. I don't know the financial or moral challenges of another person. I also don't know where this person is struggling with their own mental health. This question helps me remember I only get to decide what's best for myself and my family. And as my family gets older, I do have to release some control over their choices. Now, by reminding myself that I don't know what's right for others, I can move from judgment to acceptance quicker. Now, this doesn't mean I condone or change my beliefs based on how another person acts. It just means I stop judging others, which also allows me to more quickly move into curiosity. When I stop thinking I know what's right for others, I take off my mental blinders and I start seeing other people as capable and confident to choose for themselves. And in some cases, it's choosing the consequences as well. And I have more space for myself and my negative consequences that I bring into my own life. Now, I hope you can try on this question of why do I think I know what's best for this person? And watch how it creates a space in your mind, space between our own responsibilities and those of others for their lives. Now, thank heavens I'm only responsible for me and somewhat my family. This year has been a big year of learning for me. My business has grown, my family has changed and moved into new seasons. As our oldest has left to go to college, I hit a big birthday milestone, so it's been a year of reflection in some ways. I found myself being a bit critical of choices I made in my business this year, and I was unreasonably hard on myself. Not really thinking I failed necessarily, but I just wasn't framing choices in ways that helped me see my growth. So my second powerful question that I keep on asking myself is, what did I learn here? I've learned and spent money to learn in my business how and who I like to coach. I've spent money in areas that would sometimes seem like a waste, but in reality, I've learned lessons that have catapulted me forward and increased my confidence in other ways that kind of seem priceless. Sometimes making a choice and realizing that this is not the right choice is a very useful experience. As my oldest went to college, I saw my brain want to rehearse things I thought that I didn't do well as we raised him. I saw my brain want to ask if I've done enough, or why didn't I see things or learn things earlier? I had to reframe everything as, what did I learn? I learned I get the right information at the exact right time with myself and my children. I learned humility and grace for myself, which is priceless. I've learned to be vulnerable with my children, and more importantly, to project confidence that they can handle their lives. I sat and marveled that our first son's first college experiences were all his own doing. I saw divine hands guiding him and his life, reminding me, like my first thoughts that I gave you, that I don't know exactly what's right for him. I've learned to really love my humanness and see it as a strength, that I get to grow exactly when I'm supposed to grow, and that my children don't need me to be perfect. They just need me to keep trying. As I have scrambled in the last quarter of this year on a few financial matters, instead of beating myself up, I've asked, what did I learn here? And by asking myself that, I now have very clear new systems for 2022. I only came up with those when I stopped seeing my missteps as mistakes or fails, and more like classes to learn from and improve the future. So remember, we're either winning or learning, nothing else. The third thought and question, which has helped me pivot all year, has been to ask myself, do I like who I'm being here? I hope you have a sense through my podcast. Even with the coaching tools I also have a human brain with default lower brain programming, and I can show up and feel things that I don't like, and I have to catch myself. This work of seeing and managing our brains is lifelong work, and I'm constantly asking myself, when I'm not being my highest self, not being the person in line with my highest integrity, I like asking myself, do I like who I'm being here? This question gives me pause and space to reconsider what I'm doing. I'm a big fan of us developing self-awareness of how our actions, how our emotions, the vibe we put off, the emotional footprint that surround us. Is all of this who we want to be in the world? And since I can feel stress or resentment and anger like anyone else, I need this mental question to stop me in my tracks and make me reconsider what I'm thinking. Am I talking in ways that I really like to others? I've been fairly stressed over the last month because of a car accident my son was in and lots of other circumstances, some of which have been my own making. And as the holidays approach, I'm daily asking myself, do I like how I'm speaking to my family? Do I need this stress, or am I making up some of the stress? Often I'll find myself answering a phone call from someone that I feel, quote, obligated to talk to. Again, the obligation coming from my own thoughts about when I should answer the phone, obligations of what maybe a good daughter or a friend does or doesn't do. And when I can give myself a pause and ask, do I like how I'm showing up? Do I like my rushing and lack of presence? I can then quickly shift to being who I want to be right then, which isn't someone full of obligation. This question helps me stop blaming other people for my emotions and actions, and it pulls me back into my lane of being responsible. When I ask myself if I like who I'm being, I have a few moments of space to question what I'm thinking about the people around me. And am I judging or giving grace? Am I judging or accepting them? This month, I've had a lot of calls to make to doctors and insurance, and some of it has been easy and some of it frustrating. I check in with myself and my energy before I speak to people who are just doing their jobs. It isn't their fault that I'm frustrated. I allow myself to be frustrated. I just don't blame them. And when I pause to ask if I like who I'm being, I get a chance to calm myself, slow my heartbeat. And in every single situation, I find this allows both of us to get to solutions that neither of us would have arrived at if I had presented stress and rudeness and being exasperated to the conversation. And in reality, I know those emotions are not going to help me move forward. One reason this question is so anchoring is that it helps us get out of other people's heads about us. Even though it helps us get awareness, ultimately it reveals if we like who we are being in a situation. It takes us out of people pleasing and trying to manipulate other people's emotions and back to the space of our own personal responsibility. Okay, that's it for this week. I am going to put a link in the show notes about the Possibilities Conference that I'm speaking at in March of 2022 in Maryland. I'm going to put that on my website in the show notes. Take a look and give yourself a day to be inspired for what is possible for you. If you would like personalized, weekly, private one-on-one coaching to manage your emotions and learn more questions that are going to anchor you, sign up for a consult call at HeidiBenjaminson.com. A confident mother is the greatest gift to her family, not a perfect mother. Our families want us to be confident, anchored, and calm. I can help you uncover this version of yourself. Have a great week.